Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Turnabout Podcast. This time it is the fourth installment. So, welcome. It's November 1st. We're going to get cold weather soon, at least on the northeast of the United States. So, with me, I brought once again a different guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ethendor from, Ethendor Reviews.
Nice to meet you. So, what are we going to be talking about today? And I apologize if I sound sick today. It's because I am. But we're not going to be talking about Super Mario Odyssey, even though I wish we could. But we're going to be talking about the importance of the investigations games in the greater context of the series, and why Ethen and I love the investigations games more than pretty much anyone else, it seems.
Yes.
So, I guess we'll dive right in. The investigations games, right, so they're considered spin-offs, and that means that a lot of Ace Attorney fans just write them off, don't play them, think they're trash, right?
Yes.
So, do you believe that's fair?
No. Mostly because there's a lot of story trends that you don't need to play the games for them, but they actually give you kind of more context throughout the overall series as a whole, I feel like.
Right. So, I don't believe it's really fair at all either. I kind of wish Capcom never said they were spin-offs. I know they're not numbered in Japan, numbered in terms of the greater, series, but I wish that didn't happen because I feel like I've seen it all the time, right, over the years. It's been half a decade almost that I've been following the Ace Attorney series. I've seen people just not play them, write them off as bad, because they don't have Phoenix Wright. And as dumb as Dual Destinies is for bringing back Phoenix Wright as the protagonist, there certainly was a reason. It's because nobody bought Investigations 1, which means we didn't get Investigations 2, and then when DGS rolled around, they're like, wait, this spinoff didn't sell, why would we localize it? It's always it's all the fans' fault, right? It's not Capcom's fault, it's your fault. That's just the truth. At least in 2009. So, that is unfortunate, but
I feel
we
the
don't
same
have...
way, Gavin.
Okay.
When I got into Ace Attorney last year, I went and saw, the games, and I'm like, what's this game? Like, I hear everyone talk about all the other Ace Attorney games, but I had no idea that the investigation games even existed until I started looking at all the games as a whole.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. See, that is unfortunate. So, I feel like the investigations games, whether they were mediocre, even if they were bad for some reason, I think they should be treated as important because it's not like the Mario or Sonic franchise, right? A spin-off in the Sonic or Mario franchise, for example.
It's like Mario Kart.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to play it to understand the main games, but because there are so few Ace Attorney games compared to those large franchises, I think they have automatically some sort of importance. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. For example, Mario Tennis on the GameCube was not going to have any importance to the other Mario games,
right?
But for a series as Ace Attorney, when we get something like DGS, even though it's not a small game, because of how little Ace Attorney games we get, it's good to pick them up, especially for their story and context and everything.
Yes, there is something to be said. I'm glad you brought this up, Ethan. There is something to be said about having that grand understanding of the series. That is really important. And the more you play a series, the more you get into the writers' minds, you're going to understand. And I think the investigations games both equally do that well. For example, in Case 5, the Grand Turnabout of Investigations 2, which you have not gotten there, I'm not going to say what it is, but it references an area from PW, the original game. And it just kind of doesn't, it's not like it directly expands on it, but it just makes you think about it once again. And that's nice. So you're going to have a little PW. It's nostalgia done right, actually, you could say. Now, let's be clear, Ethen. You have finished Investigations 1 recently, which is why you were very eager to have this topic. And you've also dabbled, I believe you finished Case 1 of Investigations 2.
I finished case 1, 2, and I'm halfway through number 3 so far.
Excellent. So you're most of the way there. So
Yeah.
for this topic, because it's so general, you'll be absolutely fine. I just want to say that the Inherited Turnabout, case 3 of Investigations 2,
I
is
love
my
that
favorite case of all time.
Playing
Yes,
as
that
Gregory
is
is
actually my
so-
number 1 favorite case. So
Playing as Gregory is so cool, and like the idea that like you get to find out how Von Karma gets his penalty and everything is such a cool idea.
oh yes.
Yeah.
So Ethan, when we talk about how much we both love the Investigations games, why? What do they do better than the other games, in your opinion?
I say investigating, is much better than the other investigation games. They expand upon it so much to the point where like I miss the logic system in the other Ace Attorney games. Like I'll give you an example. In Ace Attorney 3, the second Turnabout, like there's like the pink paint and then like there's a box outline.
Yes.
And I was thinking, couldn't we just use logic and connect the two before we went into court and did it the hard way?
No one's ever told me that. I'm so... Ethan, you're the best. It seems like every time I bring on a guest to Turnabout podcast, there's at least one revelation where I just go, wow, I never thought of that. But seriously,
Yeah.
I never thought of that. If you do bring the logic system back to the previous games, it makes it seem like things should have gone quicker, or...
Yeah.
And it is kind of a meme in this, and I know I lower myself when I say that, but it is kind of a meme in the Ace Attorney fandom that, like, Phoenix has Magatama, Apollo has the bracelet, but Edgeworth just has logic, and that's why he's better. And I think that is actually really funny.
Yes.
But it's true. But I still think that, like, Phoenix could have deduced the box with the paint.
Oh no! Well, he did in court, but it took him forever to do it.
Right, or at least, at the very least, he waited until it became relevant instead of just said it out loud to Maya and Pearl, which is definitely something Edgeworth would have done. He speaks out loud just as much as he speaks internally, whereas I think Phoenix is a little more chill, a little more, relaxed. And then Apollo is always talking, that's his thing. But
Edgeworth is not as chill as Phoenix. You get to hear him shout, "Eureka!"
Eureka! Yeah. That actually, I want to if you're talking about how the gameplay improvements in the Investigations game, can we talk about deducing? I think it's often overlooked.
Love that. I love the fact that, like, you find something wrong with the crime with evidence, and it, like, changes, like, how you think of all the other evidence. I love that.
And, my opinion, I'm not sure if you'd agree with this, Ethan, but I feel like because there's the deduce feature and the logic feature, they speed things up. They speed up the brain process.
Yes.
To where, well, I know, but my real point is they speed up the process, and I believe that actually allows the writer to do more with the case because there's less time being wasted. I don't know, and that's not a proven theory, can't be proven, but
I don't feel exactly like that, but I get what you're saying.
Okay. And yeah, and with that, there's something very interesting about how the evidence all connects, because it makes that, that column, that those rows of evidence feel like they mean something more. Apollo Justice attempted to do this in Succession, where if you remember the 3 paintings you got from...
yes.
And how they explained story elements, but were not used in court. So they tried that, and I mean, it's completely harmless, but
yeah,
Investigations 1 is where it really started to kick off. I would say that one thing Investigations 1 definitely does better than Investigations 2 is I feel like the logic system was better implemented. I mean, it's the exact same system. I just think the scenarios it uses is better. And I don't knock that against Investigations 2. I think that's just the reality of Investigations 1 has less gameplay gimmicks so they can be more focused, whereas Investigations 2's got logic, chess, Kay's little thief, I'm probably forgetting something. Deducing.
Well,
there you
Little
go.
Thief is an yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you haven't seen Little Thief yet, it does. No, you did. It was in the Imprisoned Turnabout.
Yeah. Yeah. It uses it in both. And the
Okay.
Prison Turnabout, they actually expand upon it a little bit with the fact you can change between the two.
Oh, I forgot about that. Good point. But yeah, I think the logic system is and the deducing along with that are really strong. Just expansions. It going from Investigations 2 to Dual Destinies is just jarring.
I haven't gotten into Dual Destinies yet, but I plan to soon. So.
Okay. So. Yeah, so I guess we'll move right along. What do you think about the way that the plot connects, right? Because we have TNT, which has all the plot connects. We have AJ, where the plot connects
Mostly
for the most
connects.
part. Right.
Yeah. 2 doesn't connect too
Investigations
well.
1
most of them.
is just a flat, straight, connected story. And so is Investigations 2. I think that's better. I think that's more interesting storytelling that game does, and that continued. Dual Destinies had much less, but it was still connected. And Spirit of Justice, I assume, is connected somehow.
I've heard it's more connected than the other Ace Attorney games, but I don't know how connected.
Which one?
Spirit of Justice. I heard it's more connected than 1 and 2, but not too much more connected.
Oh yeah. More than 1 and 2. I thought you were saying Spirit of Justice is more connected than Investigations. I was like,
no.
Doubt that.
I do doubt that.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right. So, go ahead. Elaborate on your thoughts.
So I love the way how they connect, mostly because of the fact that every case actually seems really important. Even case 3, which isn't too important to the plot, actually has a few things that do important that happens and how it connects with the other cases. And because of this, the game feels better structured as a whole, I feel like, and the writers use this structure to great effect.
Yeah, and there is something really neat with the expansion of what you get out of these games and in the greater context of the series, because I just thought of this. Case 3 is Ernest Amano, and his big thing is that, well, 1, he loves money, 2, he's a jerk, but 3, he has a connection to Manfred.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean anything about the Atagoras, it doesn't mean anything about Quercus Alba, but, hey, it's just another detail.
Perspective. Yeah,
and it also kind of shows how Ernest is kind of a scumbag. Just throwing it out there, there's a correlation. So, I always found Ernest very interesting. I'm not sure why. I haven't played Investigations 1 in a while, but... Then there was... go ahead.
One of the cases I love, and this doesn't... it connects really well, I feel like, is 1-4. Or, Ace Attorney 1. Investigations 1-4. So, the 4th case in that game. I love the way how...
Turnabout Reminiscence.
Yeah. I don't know my name yet, sorry, but
okay.
I love how how it builds up the Yatagarasu and everything, and then even while it's doing that, it even does more stuff it shows you how Francisco was when she was young. You get to see how far Edgeworth has become as a character in the last 10 years. It's
direct interaction between Manfred and Miles, which was unheard of up until that point.
I liked that.
Yeah.
And it showed that how much Edgeworth and Manfred almost how Edgeworth was really into Manfred's ways at that point.
Yeah, and you see Francisca as well. Yeah. Always the unfortunately rejected child. Sucks.
Yes.
It's sad, but yeah. Now I want to go a little bit into why we believe the Investigations games are important. We have established, you established that, and I agreed, that the games do a great job of opening up your perspective on the series as a whole. What else, though? I think they, and this may sound like a cop-out, but hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
I think why they're important is because they're the best. I mean, I think they show the template of what an Ace Attorney game is the best, which is a great accomplishment considering neither have court segments, which was half of the deal, in the previous game. So not only so it has no court sections yet, I feel they are the strongest. Story, characters, music, graphics, gameplay, whatever.
I say no court sections never bother me because the cross-examination's done exactly how it's done in court, so it's never bothered me.
Yes, and I really like how they name them. Argument and rebuttal. Because that's exactly what they feel like. They are structured gameplay-wise the exact same way as the cross-examinations.
But they feel different.
They do feel different. They do. Especially, I always point to, because you almost, instead of saying, like, blank's cross-examination, I feel like saying blank versus blank now. Just because of how they feel. I think of Edgeworth versus Francisca in Airlines, as well as Edgeworth versus Tenero in Airlines. I feel like those were both strong examples of argument versus rebuttal, because I think you killed Ackby Hicks. Well, here's why I didn't. The wallet. Oh, well, but then there's this. The opponents actually are countering you, whereas when you caught the witness in the trial, they're like, oh no, you caught me.
Prosecutor, take over for me.
Exactly. This is the case where they actually fight back, and sometimes with evidence. Quercus Alba.
Yes.
Who fought back better than Quercus Alba? Am I right?
No one.
Exactly.
I love Alba.
It shows that story will always be above gameplay in Ace Attorney. That's certainly not a bad thing, but that just shows you the gameplay is literally the testimonies, the cross-examinations again. But because of some writing changes and naming changes, it feels completely different and fresh.
Yes.
While staying true enough to that you can come off of AJ and just roll right in. Would you like to elaborate on that?
I think you covered everything I was gonna say in very much detail. No, that's fine. I could talk about another reason why I think the games are important in a way.
Go for it, please.
So, the one thing it lets you see the game through a prosecutor's point of view. It's not too much different from a defense attorney, but there are points where in both games where it makes the defense attorneys not look as good as they do in the other games. Like for example, Callisto Yu is, she's a defense attorney, but she's also part of the smuggling ring. And
absolutely.
Even more Borden, before she was discovered to be a villain, she was talking about how this person, even though she knew that they were evil. And Francisca and Edgeworth were not taking any of that crap.
Well, that also ties into Investigations 1's greater message, right? So TNT was a connected story, didn't have any greater message. AJ was a connected story, had a greater message. I think it's pretty clear. I don't think I have to go into detail what that is. Hopefully, although I know this fan base struggles, but Investigations 1, corrupt politics. That's what it's all about.
Oh.
So
yes.
I like how Callisto Yu is a huge part of that. What is our occupation? Defense attorney. When have we seen defense attorneys really guilty of something? Not often.
Nowhere.
No, it's not. Yeah. No, don't get me wrong.
I guess Gavin. Yeah, Christoph Gavin.
Oh, actually, no. That I completely overlooked. Christoph is a great example, actually, but for the most part. And that's not to say that the Ace Attorney series was ever implying that defense attorneys were perfect. That's not what we're saying. It's just the prosecutors, because we were on the defense attorney side, obviously we're going to blame the other side, because that's not the one we're in charge of. And, Callisto Yu, Christoph Gavin, great examples of defense attorneys who were evil. I'd even throw, some sketchy ones like Robert Hammond. Why not?
Robert Hammond. Oh, yeah.
Sketchy. And, but you also have greats like Gregory Edgeworth, Phoenix Wright. But I also like how the prosecutors and the detectives all get their own end, because who are the Atsu Karasu? Callisto Yu, Byron Faraday, and Tyrell Bad.
I love that twist. I mean, I predicted it, but I loved it.
One of my favorite moments in the entire series is where Tyrell Bad turns himself in.
Yes.
Like, I'm just throwing it out there. Wow.
It's almost has about the same feel as like when like Godo, like when you find out that he's the killer.
Yeah,
and you don't
yeah, because like Tyrell, like you were like tough as nails, and because he's a strong-willed man, and he was still so strong that he just turned himself in. He admitted it, turned himself in. Wow, once Edgeworth figured it out, he didn't make Edgeworth go through anything. He just, I'll do it for you. Go ahead, find the truth, And I like to think that, I don't know about Byron Faraday. He's easily the most sketchy of the three. You'd like to think that he was also somewhat of a good character just because of Kay. That doesn't necessarily mean he is, but I'm just saying. I mean, Callisto is just the bad apple, right?
Yes.
And then the leader of all three is quite the bad apple, Mr. Tree Man.
Yeah. Oh,
so why don't we roll into Investigations 2 a little bit, because we also have some sides of the law thrown around that you've already experienced with Justine Courtney and Sebastian DeBest.
Oh, yes.
We have judge and prosecutor. And we also have defense attorney in the form of Raymond Shields. Oh. How do you think that compares to Investigations 1?
It does it very well, I feel like, especially with Raymond Shields' characters, and like the fact that Edgeworth almost becomes a defense attorney in that case, and he has to shift his thinking around multiple times because of that, is actually cool. To the point where he even bluffs like Phoenix does in court.
Yes.
I love that. And oh my goodness, Judge Courtney, I both love her and hate her.
Yep. Yeah.
And like the fact that I feel like this, I might be wrong, but this is going for the corrupted politics and court system as well as one, because so far they basically cover up the entire thing I did in investigation and the first case of Investigations 2.
Yeah,
they did a huge cover up for that.
Corrupt politics continues. I'd like to think it does continue, but there's a twist.
Okay.
Where the bulk of Investigations is about not globalization, I'm sorry. What's the word I'm looking for? It's hang on, I'm thinking. These are unscripted. There is a term for it.
Okay.
But think about human geography.
Okay.
That's basically what we're talking about. More on the disputes between countryside. I promise by the time Investigations 1-3A is out, I'll figure it out how to say it. But I think, Ethan, you know what I mean. I think Investigations 2, I'm obviously not going to spoil anything for you, but it's more on in-house corruption, whereas Investigations 1 is broad, large-scale, countries,
Okay, yeah.
Crime, large crime, and then Investigations 2 is about the crime in the cracks that ruins everything pretty much just as much. So, yeah.
Okay.
But
I understand that.
Yeah. Both have their own little spin on that, which is nice. And then Dual Destiny's plot is, let's do AJ again, except not subtle.
I mean,
which is two crimes in one.
AJ is not even really subtle with its dark age of the law, but
apparently it was subtle to the fan base, and Ted a brain scratch. So, oh well. I guess it was really well hidden, right? I'm never gonna let that go. All right.
Yep.
Now, what about the cases themselves? I think they're better written. The best way I could say why is because I feel like Investigations 1 and Investigations 2 are just more complex games.
Oh, yes.
There's just more to think about. Because you have more tools at your disposal, the game gets rolling quicker, so you're not sitting there in court having the answer, but you can't apply it for 10 minutes, which happens.
Yep. Yeah.
There's a lot less of that, I feel. Again, not provable claim, but I just feel like that's less of that happens from my
It
experience.
happened to me once in Investigations 2. I will say that. But other than that, it most of the time doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. I also want to say, not only are these better, but especially when you compare these games to Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice, which get fan service completely wrong in the modern Capcom way.
Yeah.
Investigations 1 and 2 do it to the point where you want it to happen. I'm constantly saying in Dual Destinies, don't bring back X. But, because, Edgeworth comes back in the final case. Okay, sure, I expected it, but I didn't want it, right? So
this is literally me case 3. I'm like, wait a minute, this is the past. So they're not going to bring back Gumshoe. Oh, they're going to bring back Tyrell Bad. And they did. It made me so happy.
Exactly. So, but they actually do something with it.
Yes.
And even then, I feel like if you just do something with a returning character, that still might not be enough. You need to evolve the case itself. Investigations 2, Case 3, I don't know how far you are, but has a certain character reappeared?
Actually, no.
Have you? So Tyrell Bad's back.
Yeah.
Anyone from? I don't want to spoil it by accident.
No, I haven't seen anyone else that.
But you're gonna flip out when you see them.
Okay.
And you're gonna be shocked.
But
Investigations 1 uses Wendy Oldbag.
Oh, so much.
Now, don't get me wrong. Wendy was always the comic relief. But this time, not only is she back as the Pink Princess, but she's in Case 5, one of the most terrifyingly important cases with so much tension, freaking back. It's so funny.
Yeah.
She's back, and she actually helped you solve the case.
Not on purpose, but yes, she did.
Right. And it's just, that's where the Nego came from.
Yeah.
At least its most notable part. But, and then you have Larry Butts in Case 5. It's like, oh my god, like Edgeworth, I'm so sorry. I also think Investigations, not Investigations 2, but Investigations 1, I feel like it has like this undertone of hilariousness with what happens to Edgeworth. Like,
oh yes,
he gets on a plane. There's a murder. He almost gets arrested for it. Then he gets home and a murder happened in his office, and he has to solve that with a gun pointed to his head at midnight. Then he gets kidnapped. It's
actually the kidnap happens before he gets to his office.
Oh crap! You're right. No, yeah. It goes 2.
Because the order is 42315.
Right. Right, I forgot. But yeah, that's like poor Edgeworth. And I would argue it transitions into Investigations 2 because Investigations 2 starts like 1 week after the Alba trial. So it's like,
oh yeah.
Give him a break.
Yes. My goodness.
Yeah. So what else would you like to highlight about these games?
So I was gonna go more to like the character things. I love when they bring back Frank Solid. That was awesome. Like I was like, wait a minute.
Man.
I was like, that face, it looks familiar. It's Frank, isn't it? And it made me so happy that when it was.
Yeah, because when you go, I mean, I could talk literally for an hour about how cool it is that you can actually go behind the detention center and see the criminals. Finally. Yeah. But when you get that opportunity, you think they've got to bring someone back, especially knowing how the Investigations games do this. Out of all the villains to bring back, I think there would have been. I think there's one fan in the fandom who would have rallied for every villain. Yes. Like, who wants Steve Vasquez? Someone would raise their hand. Who wants Damon Gant? Someone would raise their hand. That's because it would be so cool to see anyone, no matter what. I understand some would definitely not make sense. Like, Godo's dead. He's out. Yeah. Manfred. But there are a lot of options, and I think every single one of them would be cool. I just find it interesting they chose Frank Solid. The very first one. It really is interesting, especially because Edgeworth never met him.
Yes.
And then he gets the hair thrown at him, which
predictable, but still just great. Like,
and he's
actually he doesn't seem important to the case, but later on he's actually pretty important to like how the crime gets done, and I love that.
Well, I like how I like how his entire personality changed after Phoenix caught him.
Yes,
Because he does start out like back to his like turning like self, like very smiley. But most of the time he's just angry and annoyed. So there is some like change there. I feel like Regina Barry has like a small change as well.
yes,
Where she's more relaxed after the dramatic events of Big Top. So, it's good to see that. I think Will Powers, I like him because he's never changed. I'm not going to tell you when, but he does come back in Investigations too.
okay.
Which is neat. But yeah, I mean the characters as a whole, I think are just more developed. Rhoda Tannaro is one of my favorites. What do you think of Rhoda?
Rhoda, is she the warden?
No, that is Patricia. Patricia Rowland. I'm talking about Rhoda Tannaro. She is the flight attendant in Turnabout Airlines.
Oh no! Oh, I know. I think I know which one.
With the hair that has like a diamond and a square, then like like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's interesting because I feel like Rhoda is a character who's actually completely normal, and considering this is the Ace Attorney universe, it's actually very unique. It's kind of ironic, but I like that. I like how she's actually a normal character, and you feel bad for her because of what she's going through. But she's also a great assistant. She is your main assistant. Kay Faraday, was for most of the game's development, was your character you got in Case 2, was changed to Case 3. So Rhoda Tannaro is actually your main partner, and then Francisca is there as well, who is prominent, but that's more of a Case 5 thing. So
yeah,
it is.
Well, actually, I feel like Francisca's way more prominent in 4 than 5. So
Yes.
So,
yeah. But yeah, so you know how you have like the partner icon on the bottom of the screen? Yeah, I'm thinking of that, like the whole like Edgeworth, I'll let you in if you'll be my subordinate, or yeah. So, which I always think is funny. Because like Edgeworth's really grown in the Investigations games, become more respectful.
Yes.
Which is funny because Francisca never. I mean, she
never
grows.
She changes a tiny bit, but
yeah, she does. But like, it's like Edgeworth has changed farther enough that there's a contrast. If that makes any sense.
Yes.
So you get that funny thing where Francisca's showing that she's more reserved, so she's kind of doing the Sonic waggle finger to Edgeworth, saying, "But only if you'll be my subordinate." Where in the previous game she'd be like, "Only if you're my subordinate." You know what I'm saying? There's a change, but there's still a contrast, which makes it funny but also sad again. See, it's great, all this dual tone, because now you realize even more how Francisca was affected by Manfred. The whole Edgeworth, Francisca, Manfred dilemma is easily one of the best parts of the series. Because there's so many layers to peel back, and no one does. Nobody talks about that.
Oh my goodness! It's one of those things where like you think the investigation games would be talked about more because it talks about that so much. Especially Investigation 2 and like how Raymond Shields treats Edgeworth going to Von Karma as a betrayal.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. To the point where like even during like the end of the case, Raymond actually asks Edgeworth if he should be defense attorney, and Edgeworth actually thinks about it.
Yeah. I think that's really cool.
And when you think about like if Edgeworth still followed in his ways of his father even afterwards, the game series would have been completely different. With like how Phoenix would have never became a defense attorney, which
means Apollo and Athena are out. Yeah.
Yeah, that is also true.
Tracy Wright would have no father.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Actually, expanding upon our point about how these games provide a grander idea and understanding of the series, there's also a lot of timeline adjustments. Not adjustments, nothing changes, but there's more additions.
But more additions, yes.
And then as many people like to point out, which is it's great, you have the kind of ladder of the big bads, so to speak. You have Blaze the Best, someone who's actually now on top of Manfred in terms of worseness, in terms of people affected. So it's Blaze who caused Manfred, who caused this, who caused that, and you can literally follow it down, and pretty much something in every game will get affected. More than others, but it's very fun to make those kind of lists, because you do see how, sure, Ace Attorney 1 Shu Takumi, he had no idea he was going to be making these sequels, but the writers were careful enough and paid attention to where, it didn't matter if he didn't know, we made it all fit for you, and that's great. It is excellent. I love when developers expand on that, like, look, we didn't plan this from the start, but let's expand it. It fits. It's more interesting that way. It gives longtime fans something to look forward to. And it also doesn't take away from how evil Manfred is, for example. That Blaze was kind of pulling the strings with that. And it's funny how I explain all that, and you probably don't know who Blaze the Best is.
No, I do not. But
you will find out.
Yes.
But don't worry, that is not a spoiler.
I knew about this a little bit beforehand. It's fine.
Okay. I was going to say, like, it's not a spoiler in the context of Investigations 2 at all that he was pulling the strings on Manfred. It's just a huge factor when you look at the series as a whole.
Yes.
The Inherited Turnabout, you'll see, is great for this stuff.
One thing I love about the Inherited Turnabout is the fact you already know Gregory's gonna lose. But just because of the fact...
Yeah, that's true.
You already know he's gonna lose because Manfred's never been defeated before. And because you know that Manfred's getting a penalty, it's almost like that's your goal. It's to make sure Manfred gets that penalty by the end of it.
Right.
I like that.
I think one of the saddest moments in the series is actually when you play as Gregory, and your last time playing with Gregory, you go in an intense, here it comes again, argument with Manfred, and Manfred's like getting really threatening, and he just like stands on his side, puts his hands in his front pockets, and looks with confidence, and then it fades to gray, and that's it. That's like the next thing that's going to happen to him is he's going to get the penalty and he's going to die soon after that. It's really sad. It's like that, like him just all confident, only for us to realize it'll lead to his demise. But that does speak something about his character, about him being so strong-willed. Gregory is one of my favorite characters in the series, honestly, even though we've only known about a little bit, It's hard to put into... I think this is a challenging episode, Ethan. It's hard to put into words why these games are important, because it's not like they directly connect to every other game, right?
No.
But I think we have done a good job highlighting what does connect.
Yes.
I want to ask you, is there anything else that you can think of that's worth talking about with the Investigations games?
I do want to talk about the fact that Capcom put so much effort into these games, even though there are spin-offs in quotation marks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, the sprite art is better than AJ.
Gosh. Yeah.
The music is really good quality.
It's a whole new style.
And all the backgrounds and everything are really high detailed. I look at them and I'm like, I would never want to sprite this in my entire life.
Yeah. I think I read an article somewhere when Investigations 1 released saying, this is, the game for Ace Attorney fans. I think is what Capcom was marketing as. It's a shame people were stupid and didn't buy it, but... I mean, I know that in the long run, Investigations 1 sold just as well as the other games. It was a slow start, though, and that's what made Capcom concerned. But yeah, it was designed from the ground up to be a fantastic game. We were originally going to get an Emma Sky Investigations, but...
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and which I'm down for, but I think I'm glad Edgeworth was given.
Going to Edgeworth was, I think, like the better choice.
Yeah.
Because it connects to like the it connects to the upper Ace Attorney games more. I feel like. Whereas with Emma, it would like really connect. Well, I guess it would have connected to Ace Attorney 1's bonus case, and I guess future Ace Attorney games from number 4.
Yeah, but yeah, Miles was definitely a good choice to go. But I'm very curious what would an Emma Sky Investigations looked like. People always rally for like Dick Gumshoe Investigations or Franziska von Karma Investigations. I think those would also be they'd never happen, but they would be, interesting games. With that said,
Gumshoe would be hilarious because he's such brain dead that like
I was just going to transition into that.
Yeah.
Poor Gumshoe, he's actually regressed since PW.
Yes.
Like I feel bad, but like it's written so that it's funny. But like Gumshoe, like he's like, what's evidence, sir? It's oh my god. And how about when their friendship was established in Turnabout Reminiscence?
Oh yeah.
With the picture of him doing the salute, like. That reminds me, that wasn't in that case. Didn't young Kay sneeze in Edward's cravat? And he was like, "Not the cravat."
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, there were some great pictures in that case.
Oh my goodness.
Not the cravat.
And Edgeworth, I noticed this. Edgeworth and Gregory look so different from each other almost because of how not like their face and like their hair, but more like what they wear. They're two completely different styles because of Manfred.
I think Gregory fits. Yeah, no, that's true. Edgeworth's modern costume is just an evolution of the one that Manfred gave him.
Yeah.
And Gregory's more reminds me of like Gumshoe or like Tyrell Bad, like the detective kind of look with the trench coat and the hat.
Yeah.
He is very much a detective kind of look to him. Yeah, that's a good point.
Ooh, one thing I noticed is that Tyrell Bad has no holes in his coats in Investigations 2. Which I love that attention to detail.
Yes, that is true.
Yes.
He also is the luckiest man alive for avoiding those bullets with that encounter, by the way.
No, like, there's one directly behind his coat, so how did he dodge that one? But,
Tyrell Bad's probably just invincible. Let's just face it.
No, he can avoid getting hit by Franziska, so yes, he is.
He's like the main character of a Platinum Games, like.
Yes.
It's just invincible, like Bayonetta, Wonder Red.
We're gonna get like a Platinum Games spin-off, Tyrell Badge. It's gonna play like Bayonetta. He's gonna have like his double pistols, and he's so over the top.
Tyrell Bad. No. Tyrell Bad would replace. I forget his name, but the bartender in Bayonetta.
Oh, the bartender.
He would be selling the weapons in the bar.
Yeah. Oh yes.
That I could see that.
Yes.
Lauren Pops, Ace Attorney. After breaking up with Lance, she becomes her own defense attorney. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. I just love the cast of both Investigations 1 and 2 so much. I love AJ's cast, how quirky it is. I love how well-rounded all of the trilogy casts are. How quirky the PL versus AA cast is. And the, I guess, also well-rounded Dual Destinies cast. I just feel that whatever it is, and it has to be analyzed at some point, because I know I'm not giving very good answers. I'm sorry, I'm sick, I'm just not in the mood, but I would say that these games probably have my favorite overall casts, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's just a good time. I enjoy thinking about these characters. I enjoy thinking about Lauren Pops and Ernest Amano with all that money. Like, it's just Lance Amano. I'm so depressed. I didn't do it. To Kay Faraday. Gumshoe in that game. Like, you wonder how does he know how to open a door? Does he know how to start a car? Like,
we haven't talked about one of my favorite characters,
please.
Shebang.
Yes, Shilong Lang. Yes.
Yes, he is awesome.
Absolutely.
I guess we just
aggressive, cocky, but he's got this very likable vibe. You respect how much he has for his family culture. I've always thought I've always given him a lot of credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
What a cool villain.
And he's a great
not villain, but antagonist.
Yeah, he's a great rival to Edgelord.
Rival.
I feel like
rival.
Yeah.
Got my terms wrong there for a second. It's like, plot twist, Shilong Lang is the final villain of Investigations 2. Oh, I knew it. No, Shilong Lang's a phantom. Confirmed. I figured it out. Yes, Shilong Lang.
Shilong Lang.
And I mean Callisto Yu.
Oh, I love...
Plot twist.
Oh,
as soon as she started laughing, I was like...
Yeah. Can I talk about Callisto Yu's
Absolutely. You say Callisto?
music?
I say Callisto. I don't know what's right.
I don't know. But yeah, I love her so much. How, like, she's, like, how evil she is, and, like, how she's, like, a spy and everything. Mm-hmm. But I like her music. It's so troll-like.
Her theme is very troll-like. It's Let Me Laugh at the Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that piece. That is.
It doesn't sound like music for a villain at all, and it's so good.
I love the start where it just plays like the little like electronic sounds, and it goes Yeah. It almost reminds me of a more whimsical version of Damon, like a faster, more jazzy version of Damon Gann's theme, where it's a very comical theme for a villain. Which then you could trace back to something like the comical Age, Regret, Reward for Marvin Grossberg. The comical themes definitely always stand out.
And we're going to talk about another one of my favorite themes. I love Raymond Shields' theme.
Oh my gosh, that is such a good track.
Yes.
It goes so high, I can't, but...
Yeah, it does go too high.
I love to hear Raymond Shields' theme orchestrated. What is there a subtitle for that theme? There has to be.
I feel like there is. I can look it up real quick.
I don't remember what that is. Why don't you look it up? I'm not.
Okay.
If you would like to, I'm not sure. Does it have something to do with hugging? Because I know he always offered a hug to people.
Joking motive.
Oh, okay. Joking motive. Yep.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. Great music. I think I really enjoy the Investigations games. Again, kind of like the overarching plot. They're both the same style, but they're different variations. Investigations 1 is more I want to say reserved.
Okay.
Not to say it's like not exciting. It's just it's more.
I feel like Investigations.
It's like music. I feel like when I hear like something like Contradiction at the Crime Scene or Argument, Moderato, I hear like let's get down nitty gritty investigating time.
Yeah.
And it's so great. It's got this, it's very, when I say reserved, it has, everything kind of just feels like has like a nice echo to it. It's not too like loud in your face, because I know like the with just how, with the sound fonts of the trilogy, it can sound very beat, boop, beat, like in your face, very, this is more like, much more like soft is the way I'd put it. And it's got a lot of emphasis on piano. You got some like strings and a lot of percussion. And then Investigations 2 is more high strings. So you got lots of violins and violas. Less percussion.
Can we talk about the saxophone during Edgeworth's objection in 2011? Or like
the sax solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's strange because in game you don't get a ton of I don't remember if you get a lot of time in game to hear it. But yeah, I know the sax solo is incredible. I really enjoy that. Yeah.
Mhm. Also, one thing I feel about Investigations is that a lot of its music is like really, really fast paced.
That's true, actually.
Like
I think
for
it's
example,
again. I think like with Investigation 1, it's not necessarily it's fast paced on like a music theory, like looking at the time signature and the speed kind of way,
uh-huh.
but because there's constant percussion beats like every like 1 and 2, and it keeps going. Like it just even
going.
contradicting at the crime scene. It's a slow piece, but it feels like it's always pushing it a little. Oh, and I forgot to describe Investigation 2's soundtrack overall. If Investigations 1 is more smooth and reserved and calm, Investigations 2 is more like, I feel, not peppy, but like a little more adventurous, a little more grander in scope, which both are great, I think.
Yeah.
Would you like to add on to either one of those?
I actually feel like I do think Investigations 2 is more peppy, but with Investigations 1, it has its like pursuit and cross-examination presto themes feel super exciting almost. Like they're not really up in your face about it, but they feel really exciting. Whereas Investigations 2's feel a little bit more laid down, but they are still like, but it's still.
I see. I see what you mean. Yeah. Do you mean tonally up and down? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it'd be like the tone.
Gotcha. Yeah. For Investigation 2, those are much more down, like serious, dark. Investigation 1's are more uplifting. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. All right, well, we're about 15 minutes in, so that's about the threshold where we can get into our final thoughts. So yeah, I think we both agree that the Investigations games are important in the Ace Attorney series. I do not believe they should be overlooked. I think they're excellent times. If you're watching this and you haven't played either game recently, play them again. I feel like that's going to be Investigations 1 for a lot of people, and I think you should play it again. Now that you have more knowledge of the series and our thoughts on it. And also please comment below. Tell us your thoughts on Investigations games in general, and also tell us if you think that they are important in the greater scheme and why. Or if you think that they aren't that important, let us know why as well. I mean, there's always the good argument that the plot doesn't, directly affect what came before or after.
I thought of a final pointer actually.
Sure.
I noticed that if we're going to talk about every spin-off, if Investigation counts, they're actually the most important spin-offs. So you look at them besides Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright and DGS.
I suppose,
They're like much more important to this series than both of those games. Not that any of those games are bad, but yeah, just in those. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I love these games. I really do think that they are the cream of the crop. In addition to PL versus AA, for more in-depth reasons and a game analysis, you'll have to wait actually a couple of years. That's why
I'll be waiting.
But that's why I do these Turnabout podcasts. It's if you guys want to hear my thoughts on the Ace Attorney games much sooner and more specific ways, that's what this is for. The podcast has been, not to date this video, but it is dwindling in numbers. So if it goes below 100, I might can everything with the Turnabout podcast. I'd like not to do that, but
can everything? What do you mean? Oh, sorry.
Like I might have to can the Turnabout podcast.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I would not like to. So if you guys really enjoy this podcast, please share it with your friends. Share it on the Ace Attorney Reddit, or share it on the Google Plus community. I'll share it there. The Ace Attorney Discord server, like anywhere or even to your friends. Like I'd really appreciate the support. Send them the playlist link, heck, or even just the most recent episode. I'd really appreciate that. With that said, please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you're new. So this has been Turnabout Podcast episode number 4. the importance of the investigations games. Now, before we end, Ethan, thank you so much for coming on. I didn't know if I was going to get this episode out on time, but thanks to you, it is. And yeah, I feel like you added a lot to the discussion. So thank you for coming on.
I thank you for letting me be here.
No problem. With that said, where can they find you, Ethan?
You can find the Ethendor reviews on YouTube and just Ethendor at Twitter. Pretty much that's about it. I'm on Discord as well, but I don't have my own server.
Okay, I will link your YouTube channel in the description.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
And right now I don't have many videos, but I plan to get an overall thoughts on the investigations games video out soon, and like I'll even talk about like the fan project Turnabout Storm, the My Little Pony crossover, and see how that went.
All right, good. We'll look forward to it. I'll definitely check them out. Yeah, thank you guys again for another great month of Turnabout podcast. Keep supporting the podcast and 3A, with 3A number 3 coming out soon. I mean it this time.
Yes.
There was a certain podcast where I said, in 3A number 3, I said, ha ha ha, what a joke.
It'll be done around September, October-ish, don't worry.
Yeah. It is coming, though, after the Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which will come out Saturday the... 4th.
Yeah, 3 days from now.
November 4th. Next project will be 3A, and then middle of November to late November will be Sly Cooper and Thievius Raccoonus. And maybe something else in November, just because I know I'm getting busy, but I'm really just trying to crank out stuff for the end of the year, and then take it easy in December. So... but that just dated the entire podcast. With that said, this was Ethendor. Thank you. And I am Innocent Christoph Solwit. See you next time. Play Mario Odyssey, by the way. It's really, really good.